As one of the largest counties in Oregon, Lake County is a unique place with many different regional climates and landscapes located within its borders. Home to a wide variety of wildlife including elk, mountain lion, pronghorn antelope, and bighorn sheep, Lakeview boasts a diverse ecosystem of life in addition to its over 7,000 inhabitants. The county is approximately 8,359 square miles large, and therefore contains less than one person per square mile. This classifies it as not just rural, but an Oregon frontier known as the Oregon Outback. Despite the county's natural beauty and abundant resources, unemployment has been historically high since the mid-1980s, as a result of the logging industry experiencing a massive downscaling around that time. Many of the residents of Lake County were left without means of employment when many of the sawmills closed in the early 1980s. Eastern Oregon and Lake County are still recovering from the unemployment resulting from a change in legislation designed to protect native wildlife. There is now just one of the original 7 operating sawmills. The average per capita income is $28,792, which is approximately $6,000 to $8,000 less than the rural average. Lake County's economic situation was compounded by the recent economic crisis, but there is hope. Lake County is fortunate to have abundant geothermal energy reserves, above average solar potential, and particularly attractive wind locations. Residents, businesses, and the environmental community alike look forward to creating new opportunities in renewable energy while establishing local jobs and economic prosperity.
Jim Walls, I'm the Executive Director of Lake County Resources Initiative, a nonprofit that was formed in 2002 to work with environmentalists and industry on our forest issues. When I came here in 2002 to start LCRI, I was also on an advisory board at the University of Washington. So I asked them to prepare a proposal, assisted, to look at 2 national forests, the Fremont National Forest in Oregon and Okanagan National Forest. And what were the stocking levels and the fire hazards? And if there was as fire prone as we believed and overstocked as much as we thought, and it was mostly a primarily small diameter material, what was the best technology to employ here? The only technology that has proven economic background and everything was a biomass plant. So after the study was published, we then hired CH2M Hill to do a business plan and a feasibility study and partial design of a biomass plant for Lakeview here.
My name is Brad Winters. I'm Lake County Commissioner here in Lakeview, Oregon. I'd like to talk a little bit about the potential of the biomass plant. The county's been working on basically a letter of intent, if that's able to be cited here, and it's getting close. What that would be like a 15-year tax incentive, I guess you'd call it. Over 15 years, it's not a total abatement, but they'd be paying a community service fee to our community. With that, there's so many jobs attached, and the health of our forest and everything, that is a huge thing that this community can use. And it goes out jobs so far out there that it's really hard to be able to say who all it will impact. But it retained close to 70 jobs at the sawmill that we have now, create on-site 15 to 20 jobs, spin-off jobs out in the woods, in the forest and everything, maybe 70 there, plus the management of our forest. It gives the U.S. Forest Service a tool to be able to manage it so we can slow down and hopefully stop catastrophic fires. It's just a win-win-win. So as we're moving forward, it's hard to even put a dollar value to the economic impact that can happen here in Lake County due to renewable energy.
What was neat about the biomass plant, not only does it create all those jobs and gets rid of the small diameter material, but it got us as a community thinking about all renewables and what kind of renewable energy sources that we have here. And we've got geothermal, we've got wind, we've got solar, we've got hydro, small hydro. We've got all the renewables here except ocean. About a third of the material is going to come from the local sawmill, the Fremont sawmill. A vast majority will be off private lands, and then a smaller amount off federal lands. But it will help us thin these federal lands out. Currently they're burning their slash piles and putting carbon dioxide into the air and stuff. By putting it through the plant, it'll be better carbon. It'll also take the old boiler offline at the sawmill, and the sawmill will get steam from the new plant, which will be the latest technology and the latest in emissions control. So it's a net gain in air quality for the town. We used to have 6 mills running, and now we've got 1 left. And rightfully so, that, you know, in those days when they're harvesting 60 to 80 million board feet, that was not sustainable. But it's also not sustainable not to do anything, because of fire suppression and management of the national forest. They are really overstocked. These forests out here, we've got plots out that some of our old growth, our big old ponderosa pines, are dying 100 to 200 years early. So thinning out that forest and getting it back to natural conditions and natural fire regimes is very important to keep the health of the forest.
I'm Mark Douglas. I'm the mayor here at the city of Paisley here in Southern Oregon. First and foremost, my family has this well just near Paisley that has been in operation for about 30 years for irrigation for alfalfa, and we've never utilized it for the heat potential. As we researched it, we found that it had a lot of potential to produce electricity as well as some secondary uses. So we're working with Surprise Valley Electric Cooperative to develop that potential for it to produce electricity. And then as a secondary use with the warm water that comes out of the electrical plant, we'd like to grow tilapia and maybe even do some greenhousing and some other projects of that nature. So as we move forward, if we can develop these energy sources, these geothermal energy sources for both electricity, space heating, and some economic development, we see that as something that would be just wonderful for this community. It just seems unrealistic to continue to bring in fossil fuels to do what we can do with the same thing from right under our feet with this hot water. We think it's just a wonderful project. It's a resource that really needs to be developed. It would help the Paisley community a great deal in some job creation, economic development and whatnot. And also, it just seems like a very good idea to develop our renewable energy resources that are right under our feet, rather than having to bring in outside energy. We heat most of our buildings in town either with wood or with fossil fuel oils, and that heat also could be used for space heating, both in public and private buildings. So it just seems like a win-win situation for the whole community.